Welcome to Jacuzzi Time with Mikey Jacuzzi. Hope you guys all had a great holiday season. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I sure did. Heading back to the office now. It's about 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, and just ready to get back to work. Although I worked a lot over the holiday break, I didn't really want to use up any vacation time, and I didn't have to because it rained in New York, and I ended up putting in more hours than what I was really planning on it. I did get to go hiking with the kids one day. I thought it was going to be just me and Jack at first, and then the girls decided they wanted to go at the last minute, so I took them all hiking up Storm King Mountain, and we had a good time. The girls, they'll probably never go hiking with Uncle Mike again because it was a little challenging, but when I originally planned it all out, it was just going to be me and Jack, and I knew he could handle it. The girls, on the other hand, were a little cold and tired, and so we ended up cutting our hiking adventure short. And I told Jack, I said, next time it'll just be me and you, buddy. So anyway, Christmas Eve was awesome. I got my last minute Christmas shopping done, which for me is just gift cards and cash. We had dinner at my uncle's at 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. We always get together at my uncle's on Christmas Eve. That's been one of our traditions throughout the years. So that was a good time. I was surprised that I didn't drink not one bit of alcohol the whole time I was on break. But yeah, other than that, I went and did the old New Year's Eve in Times Square, and I just want to tell you guys about this experience. If you ever want to do it, find a legitimate place to spend some money and do it the right way. Don't try to go and get there early and get a good spot and try to stand through the whole thing, because I got to New York about 8:30 on New Year's Eve in the morning, and did a walkthrough just to kind of see how everything was set up, try to see which place I wanted to get in, because they had like different areas fenced in. So when I found the area that I wanted, I went through security and did all that. The NYPD was just amazing. Everybody I met and talked to, there were 2 million people estimated in New York for the ball drop, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe, because of all the bombs and stuff that have went off recently, that, I thought something was going to happen, honestly. So why did I go, But put my faith in God, and, I believe that He will take care of me no matter what. So anyway, I got into my section probably at 9:30 in the morning, and literally stood there from 9:30 in the morning until probably about 15 minutes after the ball dropped. So my legs, my knees, my back, every piece of my body was hurting bad. I was getting back spasms. I had a back brace on, and I had my pills with me, so but nothing could take the pain out of my feet. It hurt so bad. It was like you get to New York and you spend 16 hours waiting for this one thing to happen, and I just remember looking over at the countdown clock and waiting and waiting and waiting for that time to get to 0. And oh my God, it was worst experience of my life, honestly, like being miserable, because I literally stood the whole time. There were people that sat down and stuff, but you know, I didn't really want to sit down on the concrete where it was cold. And I had on 3 pairs of socks, 2 pairs of pants, like 4 shirts and a sweater. And I had a scarf on and gloves and earmuffs and a hat, and I'm telling you, it wasn't a great experience. It was like 43 degrees, so it wasn't too cold, but I mean, I literally couldn't feel my face. And you know how you get that feeling when you start to get sick, where your face is like cold and you just feel like you're going to get sick, like a cold or something. That's how I felt pretty much the last half of the day. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be miserable after this is over. And the misery really was in my back and in my feet. That's what hurt the worst. But it was a cool experience. I got to talk to a few people, but most of the people that were standing around me were speaking a different language. I think they were, Chinese or some Asian descent, and they didn't seem too friendly. There was a few other people that I'd come across and talked to, and they were real nice. And in fact, somebody proposed right after the ball dropped, and the girl said yes right next to where I was standing. So that was pretty cool. I wish them the best. It's I always think about will I ever get married, and it's really not a concern of mine anymore. I'm content in my life where if I have to be by myself, I can handle that. It's one thing that I enjoy is just being able to be me and not have to worry about anybody else. And I don't want to say, I don't think that's very selfish of me, because I still love everybody. I still treat everybody, like I want to be treated, and I would do anything for anybody. So I don't think that's really selfish. I mean, I have a lot of love to give to someone, but with my life, with my work, it's hard. And I've got this new project at work that I've been working on that I absolutely love, and I literally, on days when I was in New York and it was wet and raining, I literally woke up in the morning, opened up my laptop, sat down, and next thing I knew, it was like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. It's what I do. I love to work. I love to, this project that I'm working on now, basically I'm just doing some research on parcels to make sure that this power company in Missouri has easement rights where they want to replace cable. And I worked a lot, and even Friday night, the night before New Year's Eve, I was sending emails, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and one of the guys from the company that we're doing the work for, he's like he just started laughing. He was like, "Mike, give it up for the night." It's like, I was just having too much fun. I love doing what I do, and it satisfies me, when I'm able to find solutions and find the answers that I need to finish projects that I'm working on. But anyway, the New Year's Eve ball drop, the last 15 minutes was absolutely amazing. It's like, you spend 16 hours standing around waiting for this thing to happen, and when it does, it's awesome. It's an amazing experience. 2 million people just excited and happy and getting along. Although I got bumped into so many different times, and that was kind of frustrating, because when you're dealing with back pain and any little thing, somebody bumps you, it can set off pain shooting through your body that you really don't want to have. So that part was not ideal, but all in all, I got to say that I did it, and just being there and being a part of that is something that I'll always remember. It's something that I've wanted to do since I was a kid. Talking about it with family and friends when I was growing up, it was like, God, I want to be in New York and experience that. And knowing that my sister and her husband, he's every 2 years he's got an opportunity to take another job, and this may be the last year that they're in New York, so I decided I better do this experience this year and get it out of the way, knock it off my bucket list. So I did, and it was pretty great, other than the pain that I went through. I would recommend everybody doing it at least once in your life, because to be a part of something like that, it was pretty awesome. They were having a lot of sound issues on one of the stages. The performing artists, even Mariah Carey, I mean, you could tell that even from the very beginning of the day that they were having issues, because you could hear the artist be like, I can't hear, and I can understand why Mariah went through what she did. And it wasn't about sabotage, because every freaking artist before her had the same problem. They might have got it fixed, but for her they didn't. But yeah, it was just a great experience. That many people in one place. I mean, literally looking down the street, you couldn't see the end of people. I zoomed in a couple times and took some pictures, and I mean, it just extended so far. I mean, I'm sure probably at least 1.5 miles deep of people. It was crazy. But the last 15 minutes was worth it. It was worth the 16 hours of misery. Not saying that I would ever do it again, because there's no way in hell I'd go through that again. Next time I'll pay $300 and get a place at Olive Garden, and then some of those restaurants right in Times Square, they will walk you out, and they've got like one section that's cordoned off that they take people to. Like, you could see a lot of famous people that were there, and they got in at the last minute. So next time that I do that experience, I will pay the money, and I will have a lot better experience, because I won't have to stand in one place for that long of a time. But now I know, and now everybody that I know knows. I did a review on Facebook as well. I don't understand why they can't set up rest areas and food. They don't allow that in Times Square for some reason. I don't know if it's because of an ordinance or whatever, but I mean, this is a festival. It's an experience. Give people better experience. Let them bring in their own chairs so they can sit down and not have to stand for 16 hours. Have rest areas in each section. You don't have to have a lot, just have a few. And then have a couple food trucks on in each section as well. That way people can get something warm to eat, rather than bringing in snacks and stuff. So that would be ideal, I think. And you know, from all the festivals and concerts and events that I've been to throughout the years, you know, they try to make it a better experience for the people. And you know, you could just tell how miserable it was for people to stand and sit. You know, I didn't want to sit down because I didn't think I was going to get back up, honestly. You know, I was hurting so bad that, you know, I still remember looking over at the clock, and there was like 8 hours and 25 minutes, 8 hours and 35 minutes to go before the ball dropped. And then it seemed like an eternity, and I look over at the clock again, and there's like 8 hours and 25 minutes, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it through this day. You know, I peed about 9:15, and from 9:15 until I got back to Secaucus Junction, where I parked my truck and rode the train into the city, that's where I peed again, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I went from like 9:30 in the morning until 2 o'clock the next morning without going to the bathroom. That was pretty miserable. So I don't know. You figure they've been doing this every year since 1906 or something like that. You would think that they would devise a plan to make it a better experience for people. You know, reading the reviews and stuff, I kind of knew what to expect, but there's a big difference between knowing what to expect and actually having to go through it. And you know, like I said, everything but the last 15 minutes was just, it was misery. But I survived it. You know, I got one of those stupid hats, and that was another thing. Why the hell they have these big ass hats that they give to people with the lights on it? You know, I don't understand that, because like once they handed out those hats, you couldn't see anything. You know, I was taller than most everybody that was in my section, and once everybody put the hats on, I couldn't see shit. So I don't know. I wanted to be along one of the rails, but I couldn't get there. You know, people were just so crowded in. You know, I wanted to be close to the rail so I could, you know, see some of the celebrities walking by. Ryan Seacrest walked by a couple times, and you know, a couple of the other artists, Gavin DeGraw, and it was cool. You know, one of those things that I got to say that I did it. But if you decide to do it, you know, like I said, find a restaurant, pay a couple $100 and get a spot, and then have them take you down into Times Square, you know, the half hour before the ball drops. That way you don't have to sit in one place and not pee or be able to get warm for that long of a time. So that was my New Year's Eve experience. It's amazing that, you know, nothing happened. You know, the counterterrorism task force and NYPD, I think they just did an amazing job keeping everybody safe. You know, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's a new year. I didn't really make any resolutions per se. I mean, you know, I'm gonna give up the smoking and I'm gonna get healthier, you know, just like everybody says to themselves every year. I think I'm really gonna concentrate on, number one, I'm gonna lose this, I probably lost about 10 pounds over the break, so I'm probably about 18 pounds heavier than what I was when I first started this job. So my goal is to lose that extra probably 20 pounds and get a little bit healthier. You know, I might join Planet Fitness and start working out again, and you know, try to get in shape a little bit better. And then maybe my back won't hurt as much, and I'm sure once I lose the weight, my back will stop hurting as bad as it has been, because the last couple weeks have been, absolutely miserable for me, to the point where, you just hate life. And I really love my life, so I wanted to keep going. But I'm thinking about getting surgery here in a couple of weeks. There's a procedure that they can do to burn the nerve that's being pinched, and then it's supposed to give you like 8 months to a year relief, or 8 months to 2 years relief, until the nerve grows back. And one of the guys that works out of our Mobile, Alabama office, he came up 2 weeks ago, and he had that procedure done about 2 weeks ago, and he looks like a completely different person. I mean, just his nature, you can just tell he's glowing now, like he's not in pain. And I really want to get to that point. So I'm going to look into that. I'm supposed to schedule an MRI this week, and then going to kind of figure out what I want to do. And, my doctor in Pennsylvania talked about it before, and I never really put a lot of thought into it, just because, they don't cut you open, so that's a good thing. But using a laser to burn the nerves, and then they told me that it will leave a red mark on your back for a while, so you have to imagine it's got to be pretty painful. But when you get to a point where your whole life is miserable because you're always hurting, you got to do something different. And I've had epidurals before, and those worked for a while, and then the last couple times they didn't really work. The procedure itself was so excruciating that I was like, never again. So I'm gonna look into this new option here over the next couple weeks and schedule that. I think it's an outpatient procedure, so I'll probably be back to work the next day, which is ideal for me because I don't like to take time off work. So that's one of the plans that I have for this year. And other than that, I want to try to be a better person. I want to try not to get so frustrated and hateful during situations. When I'm driving, I want to try to get rid of. I don't really have a lot of road rage, I would say, but I have some. So I want to try to eliminate that, and just have God guide me to be the person that I should be. And hopefully I can find a church to start going to while I'm out here in St. Louis, and maybe meet some new people. And I've been thinking about trying to. I see so many people, like so many kids these days, that are struggling, and they have cancer and things like that. And I don't know, I almost want to try to help people, try to give them spirit, going through their tough times. So I've been thinking about doing something like that this year. I've talked about it before, and I never really acted on it, but I think this year it's going to be different for me. I want to be a better person. It's not all about me. God's going to take me when it's that time, so I have no fear of death. But I also don't want to get to the point where I was last year, where I didn't really want to live anymore, So those are some of the things that I'm going to try to change this year, and I don't know, I think I'll be successful. If I put my mind to something, I'm pretty confident that it will happen. So anyway, I hope you guys had a great Christmas and New Year's, and thanks for tuning in. I've got a new thing that I'm gonna start doing. I've been thinking about it for about a week now, and I don't really get on and do my Mikey Jacuzzi posts very often anymore, you know, just when I have something new to update, you know, just to kind of keep my family and friends and stuff in the loop of what's going on in my life. But I want to start doing a little segment where I read lyrics of songs and then I analyze them. So I've got a couple picked out already that I'm going to do, so you'll start seeing those posts coming up soon, and I haven't really decided what I'm going to call that yet. But it's like I almost have to keep the Mikey Jacuzzi name. So anyway, just look forward to some of those, and you know, I love you all. Thank you for just being a part of my life, and you know, it makes me happy when I know that I have people that care out there. So I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the flip side.